All Boilers in this one. Welcome in, Michigan basketball postgame live following Michigan and Purdue out in West Lafayette. Michigan falling big time to the Boilermakers. It is a final 99-67 in this one. It was game number 19 on the season for Michigan. You know, they're going in playing at number 2 Purdue. The Wolverines were a 17.5-point underdog, and they would be without point guard Doug McDaniel heading into this one. McDaniel serving that second of a 5-game road suspension. And the first half, the Boilers were up by 14, 49-25. And it was more of the same in the second half, 99-67. And that adds up to over 30-point loss. 32-point loss for Michigan. And so what do you take out of a game like this? You didn't expect Michigan. I mean, you hope for miracles, I guess. Anything can happen. You get hot from the 3-point line, things like that. But, Michigan, they're up against it. Not having McDaniel, Jalen Llewellyn played his best game scoring wise. He hit some back-to-back three, had a 4-point play. He did the best he could there. But Michigan already, even if they have McDaniel, they're shorthanded when it comes to ball handlers. And you see that out there. Llewellyn getting his pocket picked. You see a couple of the turnovers. It's a one spot where they couldn't afford an injury, or in this case, a suspension, the odd road suspension for McDaniel. And, that's what they're up against. And there it is. So, you go through the box score, like you say, you take some positives or whatever else. No, not when you lose by 32. I mean, this is one where, it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing to lose by 32 points. It's tough to lose as it goes. And I know Purdue's the number 2 team in the country, but, getting smoked, nobody's going to have anything good to say about it. Nobody should have anything good to say about it. What are you going to say? Let's go to the next game, and coming up, not the next game, but the following game is Michigan State. And, they're not ready to fight in that game. State will be looking to bury them as well. But I mentioned Jalen Llewellyn. He had the 16 season high, career high at Michigan. And nice job there for Llewellyn. TW2 with 10 points, 8 boards. Olivier Kamwa. I mean, this is a tough matchup for Kamwa. When Terrace Reed went to the bench, they got to put Olivier Kamwa, who's 6'9", on the 7'4" Zach Edey. Zach Edey is tough to guard for anybody, but you feel bad for Kamwa, who had to deal with the big fella. And there were a couple times. There was one dunk that Robbie Hummel said that Edey looked like Shaq. And he was throwing it down with a one-hand punch. In traffic, you could see why he was saying that. Amari Burnett, 7 points, 3 assists. Terrace Reed going up against the big man, ended up fouling out in this one, 6 points, 10 boards. Not much from the bench. Trey Jackson in street clothes. Jace Howard was in and had 7 points. He threw up 4 threes. And then George Washington. How about George Washington? George Washington, the third, with 10 points, a career high at Michigan. He had a board on 2 of 4 shooting from downtown, 2 of 4 from the floor, 4 of 4 from the free throw line. Those are the numbers, when it comes down to Michigan. One of the things, just as an aside, entertainment-wise, watching this game, Purdue, and I guess there's a few other teams in the Big Ten, it's a nice promotion. If the opponent misses 2 free throws, you get a free chicken sandwich. So every time somebody goes up to the stripe, the crowd, certainly the student section, is encouraged to make a lot of noise. And if you miss the first one, then the crowd is going bananas thinking that they might be able to get a free sandwich out of the deal. And there was a point. Who was in that situation? It was Will Cheddar. I'm sorry, I didn't put Will Cheddar. He had 4 points in the game, and he did miss that first free throw. He was able to bury the second to the boos of the Boiler faithful there, and they did not end up getting their chicken sandwich. After a loss like this, account 22, talking about cleaning house, John talking about, it being pathetic. Yeah, sure. I'm not disputing any of that. I don't know. I'm not. That's the intrigue right now. If Michigan plays like this, I mean, you could still make it. There's still people that can make a case for one more year for Juwan Howard. And what would be the case? The case would be that Ward Manuel, this is his guy, and he brought him in, and that NIL really hasn't been a factor with Michigan. I'm just making the case. I'm not believing the case, but there is a chance, given the leash that Jim Harbaugh got. I know Jim Harbaugh was much more accomplished than Juwan Howard was first-time head coach, but, so if you throw that out, I don't know, you probably shouldn't throw that out. You should take each case individually and look at the merits and everything. But the point is there was a long leash given to Harbaugh, so there might be one more year. But when Michigan plays a game like they played tonight, there's no way that you could continue on with, so me even saying it here sounds ridiculous. If you're watching this, you say, you sound ridiculous. Yes, I do sound ridiculous. I realize that. And they have to know that in everybody that would be a Juwan Howard supporter, Juwan Howard himself has to know it would be ridiculous to retain him, with the team playing like this. There's one thing about getting blown out. Michigan was supposed to lose. The odds makers had it at 17.5. But when you get run off the floor by 32, that's different. And so that's what's going on. And I think what can be some of the punctuation marks about moving on, if there's going to be any kind of debate. And again, after tonight, I don't think anybody's saying, oh yeah, Juwan Howard, maybe get him some, no. No bright sides, nothing going on. I know watching the game, Robbie Hummel, the former Boilermaker, was like, well, Juwan, boy, the team hits the offensive glass hard. They're hitting the offensive glass hard, according to Hummel, in a 32-point loss. But Michigan, in their remaining home games, if they're just getting, if they get wiped, run off their own floor, and there's already, when you have a lopsided, poor record like Michigan does, the crowd doesn't show up. They come disguised as empty seats. That is a very strong message to anybody like the athletic director or the president that's watching. I'm not, this is not me saying, oh, stay away or anything. It just will happen. You've been around long enough. You know how it goes in winter sports. And, some people will say they dog Michigan or Michigan fans, Michigan basketball fans. Southeast Michigan sports fans, and I'm going to include Michigan fans in there. I'm going to include Detroit sports fans, kind of one and the same. I like that if the team isn't good, there's something to be said for, showing up and rooting for the team. I get that part. There's also a part about if you have a team out there that is underachieving and it just is not entertaining you at all. This isn't like back in the day, like back in the day, you might not really have anything else to do. You got let's go to watch Michigan basketball and support them no matter what. That's not the way it is anymore. Now you've got 100 teams. You got 100 things that you can watch on TV. You got 100 things that you can do for entertainment. Outside from from whatever concerts, movies, other teams, other sports, anything. So you're not going to get the die hard, like, let's just go and support them any way it goes. All right, that's enough. I'm not going any longer on that. You hear it. You know what's going on. And, here's Thomas talking about Brian Dutcher, next men's Michigan basketball coach. I am going to say no. I don't think Dutcher will be in the running. Now, that's my own personal opinion. Dutcher, who took his San Diego State team to the national championship game last year, so a pretty good coach, right? But I do think, even though it is water under the bridge, hey, the Fab Five was in the house, 2 weeks ago, not even 2 weeks. What are we sitting here on Tuesday? A week ago, Monday, the Fab Five for the first time was under the roof. I think Dutcher is is still under the spectra under the black cloud that was the Ed Martin scandal. I still think that myself. That's myself personally, having been around that long. I know, like, bygones be bygones. Hey, let's have everybody back. I'm saying that Dutcher is not going to be included in any kind of coaching search at Michigan. The old Blues would not have it, but he did have a fabulous year a season ago. I think starting to put together. I did say recently that I would have a short list, a long list. Thomas, I'm going to put Dutcher on the list that I am going to come up with Michigan's next game. Oh, I can't talk here on this Tuesday night. Speaking of that upcoming schedule, let's look at it, and that's brought to you by the Maize and Blue Reviews. Good afternoon, Michigan football and basketball, which you can hear 3 times a week on this very feed that you're watching or listening to right now. That means tomorrow. Oh, everybody's on Jim Harbaugh watch. We'll see what happens by 2:00 tomorrow. But what I was saying about putting together that list, Saturday, after Saturday's game, I'll have more than one name with than Dutcher on there. So, Thomas, thank you for that. The upcoming schedule, yeah, Michigan back in action. A 5:00 game at the Chrysler Center. The Iowa Hawkeyes coming in. And then look out, a week from tonight, a late one in East Lansing. Michigan going up to take on Michigan State for the first time this year. That's one that gets everybody's blood flowing a little bit more than it, might otherwise. I like this one's going on the list too. Jay Wright. Now look, account 22. If you could tell me, the first thing that when I put Jay Wright, when I think of Jay Wright, I think Jay Wright's comfortable in his sharp suits, and he doesn't want to play the NIL game and the way the game is going. He's comfortable where he's at. And that's my first thought. But I don't know that for sure. That's just what a lot of people say. He's comfy on the CBS desk, maybe that's true. But maybe a big contract, could lure him out of retirement. I like it. I like the idea of Jay Wright. He will definitely be on that list. And certainly, you want him. Hey, you want to make a splash? You want to get people excited if the season continues to go on the trajectory that it's going, like, straight down the straight off the cliff or straight down the to whatever, it's going bad. And we start talking about names. Uh, I can't think of anybody being on the list higher if we're just dreaming than Jay Wright. Henry also looking at the Drake coach. So there we already got just with people coming in here. We get a couple, sitting out there. Sure, there's going to be some other guys. We'll look into that. I'll look into that. What about Beeline? What did I miss? Yeah, I think it's Beeline's age is what it would be with Beeline. I believe he still lives in Ann Arbor. So with John Beeline, I think does John Beeline, would you put if you're making a long list of making a short list, I might say, the age of John Beeline. But look, 70s to do 50 or something. I don't know. Putting John Beeline's name on a list doesn't sound that bad to me either, actually. The Indiana State coach, Henry. Henry's got his own list going. Henry, I will look at the list. We'll see about all of those names. We'll think about them, and we'll talk about it on a Saturday. The long and short of it with Michigan record-wise, they fall to 7-12 on the season. They are now 2-6 in the Big Ten. Meanwhile, Purdue, Zach Edey, the big fella, he had 26. He was not the game high scorer. That went to Lance Jones, who messed around 27 points on Michigan as the Boilers almost got to a bill, scoring 99 points. 17-2, the only two losses this year for the Boilers at Northwestern in the Big Ten opener. They also lost at Illinois. Those are the two losses. They'll be looking to avenge those. The number 2 team in the country. They looked every bit of it against Michigan tonight as the final was 99-67. Purdue wins over Michigan. Talk with you tomorrow at 2:00 on this feed. For basketball fans, we're after every Michigan basketball game. We will be here, and we'll see how they fare back at home against the Iowa Hawkeyes. Until then, thanks for watching.